Okay. Hi, Andreas.
Hi, Angus.
So good to see you here. Before you introduce yourself, I'm going to tell our audience a little bit about how we got to know each other and the relevance to what I think is like a very exciting initiative that you're running out of Germany. So many videos ago on our Philosophy of Freedom part of the channel, we talked about a book called Die Beobachtung des Denkens, which isn't translated into English yet, by a guy called Jürgen Strube. And I went looking for information on him because I recognized the quality and the interesting ideas. And I stumbled across your website. It's called Jahrestraining.de? I mean, is it?
Philosophie-der-Freiheit.de.
Okay, right. So Jahrestraining is the word that I've got in my head, year training. So I got in contact with you and realized that this was something really, really interesting, and that I think people on my channel should know more about the really good work that's being done in Germany to get people to work intensively with the philosophy of freedom. And you've got some really exciting ideas, which I'm sure you're going to tell us about. But let's start with, who you are, where you are. Tell our audience a little bit.
Okay, let's start with one of the biggest questions we can ask. So I live in Germany. I'm German. I'm 43 years old, and I'm a doctor here. I started with surgery, so I'm specialized in visceral surgery. But then I turned around because I wanted to do more complementary and anthroposophic medicine. So I'm here in an anthroposophic hospital doing working in oncology, in complementary oncology. And I'm also working at the University of Tübingen doing research in complementary oncology.
And that's so also that was the part of Germany that I lived in, or very close to Tübingen. Tübingen was like 50 kilometers down the road. So we've got an extra affinity there because it's 3 wonderful years of my life.
Yeah.
So Tübingen, definitely can recommend it to anybody in going to the south of Germany.
Okay. And
so
besides that, since I am 22, I worked with the Philosophy of Freedom, and I managed it within a group. I've been in a working group in Tübingen in the Fichte House, which is an anthroposophic student home. To go through the whole book once. And it's very interesting maybe I just tell you this little story, because the Philosophy of Freedom, for many people, it's they think it's a difficult book. However, it's a very alive book, but in the beginning it might be difficult. And it was also for me, and I clearly remember me sitting in my room reading the Philosophy of Freedom, and after 10 or 15 minutes, falling asleep on the table, waking up again after another quarter hour, reading again, falling asleep again. And it's very interesting that this may happen, but we can go on and on. And now I developed this annual training, and I really love the Philosophy of Freedom. So even if it seems to be difficult in the beginning, there's a lot of life within it that will strengthen us with the time.
Your story there also rings true with other people that I've spoken with. They find the first chapter so daunting that they never actually make it to the end of the book, whether it's falling asleep or it's the complicated use of philosophical terms, even though, in my opinion, he starts quite lightly in chapters 1 or 2. It is, as Steiner himself says, the people of his time didn't know how to read it. And it's a very different way of reading to which we are accustomed to, and that's one of the reasons why it is so interesting, these different initiatives to make it more accessible to people, because it is accessible, but not in the ways that we are used to, which makes it's like one of these contradictions. It makes it inaccessible, but yeah, anyway.
and what you're saying is just what I experienced too. Many years later, I experienced that many of my friends, even of my very anthroposophic friends, never managed to go through the book. They got stuck into the middle of the book or in the beginning of the book. And for me, I thought, because the second part of the philosophy of freedom, it's so rich, it's so full of life and love and intuition, and they never managed to come into the second part. And I thought we have to do something about that. And it was one of the reasons to develop the annual training of philosophy of freedom.
So you got started. Your initiative is actually quite young, isn't it? Is it about 3 years you've been doing?
It was in the end of 2018 that I got the intuition, the impulse to do this work. And then 2019, I worked for 1 year. I worked on the plan how to do the training, and I took out all the sentences we are using, and I developed the concept for it. And in this 1 year, I didn't talk to anybody about the project because it's quite a new way to deal with the philosophy of freedom, and I wanted to develop it in silence before it got into the world. And so for 1 year, I developed the concept, and then I talked to 2 friends, David Martin and Anne-Christine Christopher, and they did the first cycle with me 2020. Interesting, because we started in February 2020, just when coronavirus come up and everything was shut down. So we had this inner work in this time, and then we continued, which was very important and enriching.
Yeah. And so tell us a little bit about the process. What's the structure of the program that your students go through?
Yeah. So maybe I will just add 2 things about my motivation to do this work. So one was to really empower people to go through the whole book. The other one is to experience it, not to understand it intellectual, but to experience the content by guiding through it in a meditative way. And the third thought was I have more, but we have to go through it in a reasonable time. So in the beginning, I took 5 months. Then now we have 7 months, and we go through it within 7 months. And the another thought to develop it was that we have to train our thinking and the meditative process in a time we can manage. So I took a quarter hour every day. So to have a continuous thought meditative process with the thoughts of the philosophy of freedom, to really work with them on a daily basis and to deepen the thoughts every day, but not like 1 hour or 2, but this quarter hour really, it's possible to do it in this quarter hour. Yeah. And so I took out of the philosophy of freedom the main sentences. So we have we have quite a lot main sentences. It's about,
was it 600 or so?
Yes. But I divided them into 25 sections. So we don't have only the 15th chapter, but we have 25 sections. And we go within 1 week, we go through 1 section. So we have we have about 15 to 30 cards, sentences out of the philosophy of freedom, which are really the original sentences, and which guide through it. And the task for the participants is to maybe to sit down every day, or to walk with them, or to discuss them with other people, but to concentrate every day 15 minutes on the thoughts of the philosophy of freedom, which are divided into these 25 sections.
I was telling my daughter about your learning buddy concept, which I think is like really interesting. Tell us a little bit about that aspect.
So that's what the people have to do on their own. But we have different support techniques to support them. And one is our buddy concept. So everybody who wants can get a buddy in the beginning of the training. And we empower the people to really meet the buddy every week and to discuss the content of the philosophy of freedom, to discuss questions or just to enjoy it, to talk about what they read and what they experienced, because our main purpose is to experience it. As Rudolf Steiner says in many, also in the philosophy of freedom, but at different other places, we don't only have to think about it, we have to experience what.
Bring it to life.
Yes, bringing alive. And so one is this buddy concept. Another is that we also empower the people to build up regional groups, because now we are worldwide, and we help them to build up regional groups to meet maybe every day, maybe once a month, also to discuss the philosophy of freedom in a group, and to really be connected, not only via internet, but also directly. And then I write a letter every week. It's sometimes it's somebody else, but most of the time it's me. And I always have in these letters I motivate the people, and I put the section we are, or the chapter, into a bigger context. I add context, and I add other aspects, or I connect it with what is happening in the world, or I just explain. I give a little summary about what is important in the chapter, so that the people are really guided through this way. And then last but not least, we have a Zoom conference every 4 weeks where we are doing exercises, like you mentioned, Strube. We also have other exercises, and I give little impulse speeches, lectures. We have body movements to get more into the experience.
You talk about you with me, or
yes, it's you with me. And we also have so the people also can meet in little groups, and we give little tasks little exercises to talk about the philosophy of freedom.
And from what you were telling me last time, it's a concept that is definitely people are keen to try out. As you've grown just in the 3 years. Tell us a little bit about.
Yeah, first I had 2 people, and I was the third, so we were 3, and then both of them came with me into the leading group. So I had a team now with 3 people, me and both of the other one, the other both. And then in the next course, I still tried to keep it small, because to hold the force. And I had a website, but it was hidden by a password, so only people we got in direct contact, could see it and could know about the project.
Access it, yeah.
And through this, we were 45 in the second cycle, and then after this cycle, I founded a Verein. I don't know how to say in English.
Yeah, a club. It sounds like, let's call it an organization. I think of Badmintonverein, wo ich Badminton gespielt habe.
A voluntarily organization, non-profit organization. Now we were 8 people in the leading group, and we had 202 participants in the third cycle. And after this, we had friends. Then the Ukraine war started, and there was this in the world. even during the Corona time, there was a lot of the people couldn't talk to each other, one opinion against the other. And then the Ukraine war came. And again, we had these divisions between nations. And I had one member, and then we thought, okay, we want to also to have English participants. And then one of our members said, oh, we also need Russian participants because we really need to come together through a spiritual context with each other. And so my sister and me, we went to Russia to tell about the project. And then a person from Asia came to us and said, oh, I have friends in China. They also would like to have this project. And so we translated the cards. So they are already translated, but we put them into the other 3 languages and promoted them. Very, very small in fact. So we didn't do a lot of marketing because we still wanted to keep it small, because also our organization has to build up structures to hold all that, and it's still a process. But however, then we had 350 participants in the cycle who is still going from 17 countries, including Russia, one of the Ukraine, China, Malaysia, Australia, Tasmania, America, USA, Hawaii, England, of course, Germany, France, and other European countries. So it's an international course now.
And this is one of the things that's like particularly dear to my heart. I'm sure you know of Thomas Meyer at the Goethe, yeah. Mm-hmm. So during the pandemic hysteria, there was one voice that I was listening to, a lady called Catherine Austin Fitz, and she was, I'm not exactly sure of her role in, do you know the name, do you?
Who?
No, Catherine Austin Fitz. I'd be surprised if anybody who's listening to me now actually knows this name. Okay. She's important in the financial world. She has her own company, Solari, I think it's called, offers financial advice. But when she was one of these voices talking about the importance of building community, and I really a lot of the things she was saying, so like describing what was going on in the world at that time, made a lot of sense to me. And then 2 years later, I found out that she actually had quite a bit of contact with Thomas Meyer, and I realized I was recognizing like a kindred soul. I was recognizing somebody who basically stands for the same freedom values that I stand for. I never knew it, but a part of me could feel it.
Yeah.
And it is this aspect of community building, which I think is so wonderful. What I hear in your project, what I experience with Matt and Ashton's group over in California, and also the little community that I've got going around my channel. We're a group of people who continually meet and encouraging each other, growing through each other, occasionally disagreeing, but then out of that disagreement, a clearer understanding arises.
It's really one of the how to say secrets of the philosophy of freedom. Maybe it's a secret, maybe not. Maybe it's clear that freedom has something to do with also building bridges. But for me, it's one of the really goals, maybe secrets of the philosophy of freedom, that we can meet in our intuitions, and that we don't have to divide ourselves because we have different imaginations or different ideas of what we want to build up concretely. But on the spiritual level, we can meet and we can respect ourselves, and we can work together, even if we have different concrete how to say images, how it should be built concretely, but we can, on the higher level, we really can feel that we are one world and that we belong to one spiritual world, and that inside of us we have this human nature that is really is connected to each other, that is somehow a holy place, and we all have it, so we can through this we can meet. So we are building bridges. There's a very common or very common course lecture from Steiner, who is called the Bridge Lecture. I don't know if it's the exact name in English.
Bridge.
Brücke-Vortrag.
Don't recognize it. Tell us about it.
And he's talking about the bridge between the natural world, the material world, and the spiritual world.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also talking about the philosophy of freedom there, but he's talking about this bridge. And we really have to find this bridge again, and also the bridge to the other humans, and the philosophy of freedom. It is somehow helping us to build this bridge, because we feel that we belong to one spiritual world, which is inside of us, and through which we can connect to each other.
Just thinking back to what you were saying about people who never got to the juicy parts of the philosophy of freedom, they used to like run out of steam, chapters 3, 4, and 5. That's there in chapter 9, isn't it? We understand when we feel connected at a spiritual level, our differences do not matter to us anymore, because we are united in the greater vision that we feel we are part of. And that is really something, as you say, the finding different means to cultivate that, to allow this impulse, this Michaelic impulse to come to fruition. It is wonderful to see it happening in the world.
That's another, for me, the Goethe talks about the offenbares Geheimnis. How do you say that?
Nature's open secret.
The open secret, yes. And for me, the really biggest open secret of the philosophy of freedom, that also is belonging to the 9th chapter, is that it's not really a philosophy in the how we understand it traditionally, and it's not something that's so difficult to think.
No, it's really easy.
Yeah, but it's the open secret is that it's a way to develop more love inside, in connection to the world, because it's said in the 9th chapter very clear that only if we act out of our love to other people or to other things in the world, we are really free. We really act out of ourselves. So the connection between freedom and love, it's so close. They really belong together, and it's one of the fruits of the philosophy of freedom, really to feel that and to try to develop it more and more.
Yeah. In our group yesterday, Matt, he was talking about it. It's the New Testament written in philosophical language, isn't it? It's talking about the love that has to be the impulse for everything we do. The more that we can live with that ideal, that motive in our souls, the better things will be for the world.
Yeah.
And the happier we will be as well.
Yeah. That's also one of the results. I can motivate everybody to read it, because while you're reading it, for me, it's the true, I always become happier and happier from inside, because these thoughts, which have to do with the inner freedom and with our inner impulses and our intuition, and what we really want to do in the world out of ourselves, not because somebody else said we have to do something, but we always try to find our own impulses and intuitions to act out of ourselves. And that's really that's that builds up this freedom, and that makes happy. So to work with it.
Yeah, it is. It's a truly liberating experience, and exactly as you say, this, what for many people might appear to be a dry philosophical book about the theory of knowledge, it turns into this this beautiful piece of art, which the more you live into it and see how it connects with your own inner essence, the more the spiritual power comes through it and begins to land in you as a human being. Yeah, and that's, and connecting that with community is something truly special.
Yeah.
What I was thinking, you've got a video. I was thinking you could perhaps show that video. The wording's in German, but you could like pause it and tell us what's going on in the video, who the people are, what they're doing, how it relates to your whole concept, and yeah. So let's see where it takes us.
Okay, I will. I will show it to you. It's our how to say Rückblick. It's our
I'll look back, our yearly review.
A review on our activities last year, so 2022. So you will get an impression about what happened in our organization and what we did, and how we try to get it more alive, what we want to live with the philosophy of freedom. So
what the philosophy of freedom looks like in predominantly Germany, actually, I think at the moment, isn't it? That your pictures are from, but you can tell us more.
Yeah. Now, but I have to. Yes, I can put off the. Okay, so now we can start. Okay. Okay, now you can see.
I can see it, yeah.
Yeah, that's me, and that's...
Oh, hold on a sec. I need to turn it on. Hold on a sec. Okay, yeah, go for it.
Okay, that's me and a friend. And now you see, I just put on the music for a moment, and then I will talk. Okay, so you see here just a little review of our Zoom conferences, and that's my team. Not all of them. We have also some guests here. So I will go on. It's just a little impression. So last year we did a lot of information lectures in quite a few cities. So you have here the cities where we have been and where we showed the people how we are working, what we are doing. It's mainly Ludger and me. We are on these photos because we traveled through Germany just to talk about the project and to motivate people to work with us.
Yeah.
So here we are in Tübingen. I just show you, that's we four are the, how to say, die Vorstände of the organization.
The executive.
Yes, that's it. So this is David Martin. He comes from USA, actually. He is professor for pediatry, and she's a doctor, and Ludger, he's how to say in English, Heilerziehungspfleger.
What would you not a physiotherapist?
No, for handicapped people.
Okay, so yeah, he looks after handicapped people.
Yes. So here you just see a few pictures of our meetings last year, where we try to develop it further. here's our group now who is helping to.
So for example, in Tübingen, how many people are there in that group?
In Tübingen, we are 3.
But you look like, because there was a lot more people in that room in Tübingen on the
yes,
slide.
They came to us. We just had a meeting there.
Okay, right. Okay, gotcha.
Now here we are preparing the boxes. You will just see now. So we did everything with our own hands. Here on the left side, you see the boxes, and we are enveloping like little presents, because we always want to do it to have it beautiful. So here you see some of the boxes we had. For these 350 people, we needed 700 boxes, and in every box there are 600 cards. So you can imagine how many cards we have all together.
And you didn't have to pack all of those cards individually into the box, or could?
Yes, we did pack it, but not one by one, but we had them all together, all 600 together. So here, Ludger and me, we went to Genf to visit the guru, because we loved his Save the Soil movement, because, you know, soil is really the ground on which we are living, and we have to put more life into soil, and we have to put more life into our thoughts. So it's really connected, the soil and our thinking process. And this is our Herbstfest, our, how you say,
Autumn Fest, festival.
And we had some Luftballons with our cards. And here I've been at the Bildungsart in Stuttgart. I talked to young people, and this is the World Goetheano Forum in Dornach, where many organizations who wants to change something in the world meet.
Interesting.
It's really an interesting meeting, and it's mainly in German, but now they want to develop it more internationally. Okay, and now you see the development of the different country or languages in our course. So first, this is Jeff. It's Jeff Martin. It's the father of David, and he is doing the translations into English. Now we are in Russia. My sister and me, we went to Russia. She's speaking Russian very well, and so we visited Russia. That's my sister here. She even looks like a Russian.
She does look a bit Russian.
And she really loves this language. She made her doctor about Russian literature, and
I spent just over a month teaching English in Russia in was it 1999?
Okay.
And met some fantastic people. I went there to improve my Russian, but met some really beautiful souls, some beautiful people. Feel a strong affinity to the Russian soul.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because the Russian people, they feel very deep. So they really feel deep. Everything is really deep. So so maybe not so easy to get connected, but if you get connected, it's always very deep.
That's that characterizes the conversations. You can't believe how limited my Russian was, but that we were talking about all of these. It's like, and these weren't so like Steiner people. These were regular people, but you get into deep, meaningful conversations. They certainly, the people I met, they don't do trivia.
Yeah. Okay, here I'm in Kaluga. That was one of the cities. This is St. Petersburg, where we talked about the project in Moscow. This is the Anthroposophic Society in Moscow. It's really a nice place. You see here the first Goetheanum and the window of the Goetheanum. So it was very, very nice to be there. and to give this little lecture and also to do some exercises with them. And it's so amazing. I experienced it in all the languages, also with the Chinese people, how easily you get connected through the content of the philosophy of freedom when you are working with them in a certain way. So you talk about maybe things you would never talk to your family or your friends.
Yeah.
They are so deeply inside of you, and now you are talking about it with people you maybe don't know yet, because the philosophy of freedom brings it with it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's Russia, and now we come to the Chinese room. So these are Chinese boxes. They are different than our own ones because they built them. They designed them for themselves, and they used them in China. So they are different, and they are very beautiful. And we really loved to unpackage them.
Mm-hmm.
And here you see David Martin and me, and we are just very, very happy about the beautiful boxes, and also to see philosophy of freedom written in Chinese letters. That's for me, it's such a pleasure to see that that it's spreading all around the world, because it's it really
tell me a little bit about so how's it that it's like that there is interest in Russia doesn't surprise me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't want to cast any aspersions on Chinese. I don't know Chinese people, but it's okay. There are 6 of the population of the planet, so perhaps that's just a simple reason. But I find it wonderfully encouraging that a culture so very different from Western European culture still is finding something that's saying, we want to study this. This is a human question. Tell me how
just before
how did it happen with China?
We will finish the video, because then we can talk easily with each other.
Okay. Yeah.
So I will just finish it. So here you have the whole world map. Now here we have Australia and Tasmania, and here you have one of the beautiful sentences of the philosophy of freedom. I really love it. It's in the 2nd chapter. Mm-hmm. Then you have the Chinese area. So you have China. We also have a participant from Malaysia, and also a very beautiful sentences of the philosophy of freedom. Now we come to Russia, and here you see we have here Moscow, of course, but also we have the Ukraine border, and also a person from Ukraine. So that really touched me deep, that we have people from 2 countries which have a war together.
Yeah.
And here you have the German group. Of course, there are many people in Europe, 250, which are joining the course now. And one of my most...
Oh, quick question there. Go back. Is there anybody from Sweden?
No.
Shame on Sweden.
Not yet. We have one from Denmark, but not from Sweden.
Have to do something about that.
Yes, definitely. And also we don't have so many people from USA yet, because we didn't promote it.
Also, just staying with that map there, one of the things, because I love Italian, I'm learning Italian, and I have quite a lot of contact with Italy at the moment. I actually think there's a really healthy community of people deeply engaged with anthroposophical questions and the philosophy of freedom. So I'm somewhat surprised to see nothing in Italy there, but perhaps it's the language issue that's going on there. I don't know.
Yeah, because we need to get in contact with people from Italy who wants to help us, because it's so if you my sister, who is doing all the translation and also the interpreting during the conferences with Russia, she really has to work hard on it. It's not, you really have to be committed to it. So we need 3 to 5 people from a country who are committed to work together with us, and then we can do it. It's not so now we developed a lot of tools to do it, but we need these people. And now we have a person in Spain who wants to translate it into Spain. So maybe somebody from Italy will see now this video and he will go into contact with me.
I know several Italians that will be seeing this video,
Okay,
so
great.
I hope perhaps they'll feel the temptation.
Yeah, that would be great, because I really have the dream that we have a worldwide project on these so important questions about thinking, about freedom, about love, about intuition, about moral imagination, and also about the experience that we are somehow one community. The whole world is one community if you look at it spiritually.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's finished.
Oh, hold on, before you just finish there, because obviously there's a big gaping hole there, isn't there? There's this little small country called the United States. What's going on there?
We didn't last year. We didn't have the time and the organization to be more active in USA, so we didn't promote it. We just had a few people we were connected to. So here you see Hawaii. We have Juliana in Hawaii, who has been my classmate, and we have some people there. And we have the Nature Institute, Henrike Holdridge. We have been in contact with her also. And so we have a few people in USA, but I hope we will have a lot of more in the next.
You already know a few people that I think would feel extremely honored and valued to take part in something like that, helping that to grow in the States.
Yeah, that would be that would be great. Yeah, we really need 2 or 3 people, maybe 1, maybe 2 or 3 who wants to take more responsibility for it, because so that we need these people in the other countries. We also now have contact to India, so I'm very very much looking forward to what is happening this year now.
but let's take that point seriously that you're talking about there. So if Italians or Spaniards or Americans or English people or even Swedes are listening to this, thinking that I see something of great value here, I'm feeling the calling, what should they do?
So let's just go further on with the video.
Yeah.
So 3 years before I realized that this domain, Philosophie der Freiheit, nobody wanted it before, so I took it. So this is our website, and if you there you can choose the language, so you can choose English or Russia, and if you go on this website, there's a contact formula, and you can write us, and then we can go into contact. Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay, that's the end of the video. So I can come back and we can talk to us like that again.
So we were talking a little bit about hopes and plans for the future. Have we covered everything, or are you thinking of other things that what are your thoughts in that direction? Is it just to grow out into these different countries, or are there other ideas that you're playing with that you'd like to share?
Yeah. So one is to build up this community, which is more like something like a spiritual community, but which is working on these thoughts of the philosophy of freedom together in a certain rhythm. So we are all in the same week, in the same part, but everybody is doing it in its individual way. That's very important. So we don't say you have to do it like that, or we don't say this is the only way you can do it. We just say, take this quarter hour a day to concentrate it and feel free how you use this quarter hour. But of course, we give some possibilities how to work with it. And the course is one possibility. And this is one purpose, just to spread out the impulses of the philosophy of freedom. And we're just working on building up an organization that is able to hold it
to manage the numbers.
Up to now, we are all working voluntarily. Nobody gets money out of it. So now we are slowly starting to develop it more economically, because we have to do it because it takes so much time. It's a process now. So this is one of the process also to develop more techniques, also digital techniques to stay connected, to be more professional. That's also one something we have to do. But yeah, and I really love it too. So you just before you talked about the Chinese people, and I had a lecture with them, a question and answer lecture just before 1 week, and the first two questions they asked me were, first, what is consciousness, and second, what is intuition?
Good questions to start on.
We have 5 minutes to answer these questions. Go on. Okay, and it was so for me, it was so touching, because we were talking about intuition and consciousness and love and our purpose in life, and they have the same questions. They feel we can talk to each other. I have an interpreter, and we understand each other, and there are coming new ideas of understanding these questions, which are really questions of our humanity. And I have the feeling there, I really got the feeling that we belong to one spiritual world.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter
when the cultural differences are so obviously different, yet you can feel yourself uniting in these questions, in these ideas.
And we have the same questions on love, on intuition, on what we want to do in the world out of ourselves, not only out of the rules and what is outwards. So it's really we are so close together. We just have to give people the possibility to experience it. And maybe we cannot experience it so if we only hold on to the physical world, because there we are so different. But if we come a little closer to the spiritual world through the thoughts of the philosophy of freedom, I'm so sure, because I experienced it, we will experience that we are so close together in our souls. And that's also a really work on peace in the world, because if I experience your deeper being, of course I will not. I really respect it. I can't do anything else than respect it, because I have my deeper being, you have your deeper being, everybody else, and if we manage to connect through that, so we really.
You can't make war against your spiritual brothers and sisters.
It's
a complete. It's a non-starter.
So we are doing war on the physical. If we only look at the physical side, we see all these differences. But in the world of ideas, there are no difference, because it's not. You can have millions and millions of forms an idea can have in the physical world, and so one has one form, you have one form, I have another form. But if we know that we belong to the same idea, and we really belong to it, we can't do any step in the world without the earth and the sun. So we are really one being in this view.
Let's go really big on this thought that you're talking about there. I mean, when we see like civilization crumbling around us, democracy crumbling, here we are really talking about civilization creating ideas. It really is that powerful, and it's so wonderful to hear you talking about it being so warmly received in these various parts of the world. One of the things that I wanted to come back to, which I think was when we spoke last time, and it's important, I think, for people to hear this, that's how the philosophy of freedom is so different from other anthroposophical literature, that they're certainly not they're not against each other, far from it, but there is a fundamental quality about the philosophy of freedom that is very different from the rest of anthroposophical literature. And it's this aspect of, I'm not relying on a spiritual authority whose statements I have to choose to believe or not believe. Mm-hmm. We're talking about something fundamentally different here, aren't we? Mm-hmm. Which is it's the inner authority that I have to, by knowing myself better, by understanding what thinking is, its relationship to my feeling life, its relationship to my volition, its relation, and love's relation to all of this. This is what can truly unite us, and we don't need to read any esoteric texts. I certainly do anyway, and I'm sure a lot of other people do, because they're a different type of spiritual food. But the philosophy of freedom really is of a completely different character in that sense. And I understand that. Yeah, would you like to add something to that thought? Because I've understood it's a heartfelt thought on your side as well.
So Rudolf Steiner is talking a lot about how important it is for developing consciousness about higher worlds to listen to what people said who already have this state of consciousness. So this is one way to develop. I think he is often talking about it. However, as you also said, in the philosophy of freedom, he's never talking about these experiences of the higher world, but he is guiding step by step through this inner process that is leading us to our own intuition and to our own experiencing of the spiritual world. That is not yet, you don't have angels, you don't have other beings, you don't have the human being with his 4 or 7 or 9 different
members. Yeah.
So you don't have all that, but inside of you, you are developing an inner movement.
Center.
Yeah. Yes. For me, it's like a spring. A spring, Quelle.
Yeah, a spring as into like a source of water. Yeah.
Yes, a source of water that starts to sprudel more and more.
To bubble up.
Bubbling up more and more. And that's what Steiner is calling Leben im Denken, live within thinking. I don't know how you say
living in thinking.
Yeah. Living in thinking, yes. And that really means that your thinking is not stuck in your head. You don't have to do it like that, but it's really coming out of maybe your heart, but out of your inner being. So it's more like a living process and not like a physical process as we think today. And this living in thinking really, sometimes for me, the sentences of the philosophy of freedom, they are sometimes complicated. And for me, it's sometimes a feeling like they are cleaning my nerves, my brain. So I have to think this way and that way and this way and that way. And these are all the the curves of my nerves in my brain that are clean.
You're having a workout.
Free, yeah, to just come out of this brain thinking, but to get closer to your heart. And I think that's also that it's also very important that he always says you have to experiencing it. You shouldn't only think about it, because this new thinking is experiencing the world. It's not thinking about the world. And I think it's very important that we find ways to experience what we are thinking, and
raising awareness of how thinking lives within us and shapes us, and is that because we were talking about this just a couple of hours ago on our video, this image of the living water or the bread of life, it becomes this eternal source, this living source of of life, where the thinking produces itself within us, but because we're consciously with it, it is valid. It's not me being enslaved by thinking. It's me encouraging this life to,
so we can
this being to work through me and with me.
Maybe we can just give a very, very easy example for this process. So just think about a triangle. So just think about a very certain triangle. You maybe see it for your inner eyes. And then think about, okay, so my triangle might be like that. So maybe I have a very special triangle that is like that. You see, like that.
Yeah.
So and yours is like that. And now if you are looking into the physical world and you say, oh, that's the only right triangle in the world, and this one is not correct, so we will fight against each other. But if we come to the idea of the triangle, we really get an image that is alive and flows and fluid, and we can imagine millions of triangles in a second. Maybe we can, so we just get into the movement of how triangles can be in the world. We can experience that our thinking process is more, you said, like water, more fluid,
yeah.
And we will not fight against each other because you think your triangle is right, wrong, my triangle is right, because we know there are not even these two triangles, not even thousands, but infinite triangles that can come out of this one idea that can live inside of us.
So we're intuiting the same concept, and therefore the same idea if it's something grander. And we find union in that together. Wow. Oh, it's so wonderful that that you've created this initiative, and that you're having so much success. People really want to become part of it. Is there anything else that you feel we should have talked about here? That I think we've covered like all the important.
Yes, you asked me one question I didn't answer wholly just before, and that you asked me about my future thoughts, what can develop, and I have one. Maybe it's a dream, maybe it's a vision, maybe it's like a wish that we find ways, not also for the young people, to get into contact with these ideas, and so that we somehow can create new ideas to work with these thoughts, and to find ways that we really can get in touch with the people who are young now. We have participants from 18 to 84 years old, so we have different participants, but still I feel this urge to
reach young people.
Yeah, to reach young people, to free themselves, and also to get into contact with, so they are in contact with their deeper being. But I think it's very important to develop it more and more, to be more and more clear about what they are experiencing already, because when you're growing up, so I experienced it, there comes an age, maybe 28, maybe 30, maybe 26, which is very difficult, and I felt I was really thrown onto my own being. So, and I think if we can reach the young people with new alive initiatives to work with these questions, then they and we also can become clearer about what really lives in the ground of the soul and what we really want to do in the world, because it's so difficult into the world to see what we really can do for the future. And also there are so many young people who are disappointed, who are have fears, who don't know how the world shall develop, who don't have any future inside because they don't get it from outside. And we really have to, so I feel it like a responsibility, because we are grown up and we have these thoughts to develop possibilities to reach them, and so that they can maybe experience themselves and what they want to bring into the world from really inside of themselves. And that needs something maybe like a midwifery process or in something. I think it's very important to work on this issue.
You said something so wonderful. I think I told you I teach Spanish at a local school. It's like 12 to 16-year-olds, and won't go into all the details, but there's three guys, and I'm going to name them, and I'm going to tell them that I've mentioned their names in this. So Theo, Nils, and Danyar. If you're listening to this, I'm talking to you. You know. So we have lots of questions going on which have nothing to do with Spanish, but we've got this question which we still haven't tackled yet, which is they asked me, Angus, how do we escape from the matrix? And the philosophy of freedom is the answer. They just need to have help in understanding how it is the answer. There isn't a red pill they can take. But definitely I do see, I hear what you're saying. Young people really are interested in these questions. And we need to find ways to help make this type of material accessible to them, so that they feel then encouraged later in life to really to get to grips with it at a far deeper level. There was some, you know, Misha in Berlin. Didn't he do some type of exhibition? Yes. Which was related to creating artwork, and I believe it was young people. That's just one idea. So I'm falling into the mental image. I'm not living in the concept truly yet, because I would be able to come up with something new. But those type of initiatives are also beautiful, because he's found a way of engaging people in the material. And,
I think creating doing art processes, creative processes with the thoughts of the philosophy of freedom, that's also one of my impulses. But it always needs time and people. But I really want to do also, how to say, maybe a performance. We could also have performances on these thoughts, because if you talk about not only talk, but if you make performances about the topics like love and freedom and intuition, of course so we have to, I think that's really a process of the philosophy of freedom, to develop more creativity, that is called moral fantasy or moral imagination. And yes, and also maybe to not only to try to reach young people, but also to develop together something. So we also have to learn from young people. They have so many beautiful faculties, and they are so special. They're so different. I just felt it a few months before, as I heard this lecture on the Bildungsart, which is a congress for young people. And
the one in Stuttgart.
Yes, it was in Stuttgart. And they have really, some of them, they really want to do something in the world. And they are so special. And I think we really have to get connected to them, to learn from them, and to somehow so it's really a
engage them.
How we can do that. Yes. Yeah.
Shall we wrap it up there? Press the stop button.
Okay. You know, in the philosophy of freedom, there's so much life we could talk.
that could be the cue for our next conversation. I'll just press stop.